Do you want to introduce this one?
Oh, could I?
Yeah.
What an honour. I would love to. Hi, everybody. My name is AJ, and I'm with Richard here. And this is the Cult Pop podcast, where we watch a different franchise every fortnight. And this film franchise, Fortnights, the film franchise we fortnighted, was Critters. Do you think with the rise of the new online game Fortnite, we're going to get more listeners?
we should spell it the same way.
Oh yeah.
There was a story on the news the other night that was like, so like they've got like the ticker at the bottom. This is actually on the breakfast show. So like more like current affairsy kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they had this guy come in and had basically explained Fortnite, like, being like, oh, this is why kids are into it. It's like got cartoon, there's no blood. But the ticker at the bottom said, are your children playing Fortnite? And I was like, oh my God, this is so stupid. Like, just that like scaremongering kind of.
Yeah, nothing else to talk about, so maybe we can talk about the video game that everyone's playing. It's not news that kids are playing a game.
Yeah. But, yeah. Whew. Did you see, this is just chatting about the news. Did you see Facebook this morning, Mark Zuckerberg announced that Facebook is going to basically launch a competitor to Tinder?
Oh, it wasn't that, yeah, I think there was a beta for it that some of my friends used.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But yeah, basically like you, Tinder won't match you with any of your friends and... Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to use it?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Anything Zuckerberg puts out, I try to get my hands on it as soon as possible.
And we haven't spoken about this on the podcast, but you are single and you are like painfully alone. So if we do have any female listeners that are interested in
there's one now.
AJ.
Just kidding. She doesn't listen.
Nah.
Hi, I'm AJ and I'm single.
Look, you brought it up, man.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, you said we're talking about Critters. So Critters is a 4-film franchise. It consists of the films Critters, came out in 1986, directed by Stephen Herrick. Critters 2, sometimes subtitled The Main Course, came out in 1988, directed by Mick Garris. And Critters 3, 1991, this was direct-to-video, directed by Christine Peterson, and yes, that is a woman. And Critters 4, 1992, directed by Rupert Harvey. So,
yeah,
yes.
Cool. Yeah, no, great job. Off to a great start.
What would you say these films are about, AJ? What would you say the first one is about? In your own single words, what would you say?
The first film is more or less like a clone of the much more popular 80s film Gremlins. Basically, it's set in like this farmhouse and these aliens come to Earth and they're called Krites. And they are little fuzzballs that eat everything they come in contact with, and they can shoot porcupine-esque spikes out of their fur, which I'm not really sure what happens if you get hit by one. You certainly don't die.
Yeah, so according to Wikipedia, it like makes you fall asleep or fall unconscious, but removing the spike will like remedy that.
Okay. And yeah, the first film stars American Dad's Scott Grimes as the kid who saves the day. It's about him and his family dealing with the critters in their farmhouse, and they're also more or less the day is saved by a pair of intergalactic bounty hunters who are looking to find and destroy the Krites as well.
Yeah. Oh, and so the bounty hunters, what do they look like? How do they get their look?
Oh, so they are in their true form. They kind of just look like plasticine men.
Is it like the villain from G.I. Joe? What's his name? That doesn't have a face.
Cobra
Starship.
Starship. They can see like a human and shapeshift into that human shape. And the main bounty hunter sees like an 80s glam rock band.
Johnny Danger or something like that?
Yeah, and shapeshifts into him. And like What great casting, because that dude, the guy who plays him, it's like they got him on board and they were like, oh, should we make him a glam rock artist, because that's what he looks like. He looks like a cross between like Steve Tyler from Aerosmith and like Dave Grohl, like young Dave
That's
Grohl.
such a strange one. He looks kind of like a like he looks very much like 80s Simon Le Bon from Duran Duran.
Yeah.
Like that kind of, not so much glam, more just like 80s rock kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like it's played by a guy called Terrence Mann, who's strangely in all 4 films.
Yeah.
But he actually performs the song that's like a motif throughout the first film, and they abandoned it, called Power of the Night. And it's actually a real cool song.
Yeah.
Like
it was pretty cool.
It's one of those, like, it was written for the movie. Terrence Mann actually performed it for the movie. And yeah, it's one of those, like, it's almost like a parody of music at the time, but it just fits the mold so well of what it's meant to be.
Yeah.
And it's just a cool song.
Yeah. Agreed. I don't know, it was pretty, I thought the first 20 minutes of the film were pretty good, like before the critters before like the plot starts, where it's establishing the characters. It was actually very well done, and like I like, you get a good idea of who the family are and what their roles are, and, you know, the type of people they are, and it almost felt like I was watching Stranger Things for a bit, which is funny because obviously this would have somewhat inspired or informed Stranger Things.
And it precedes Stranger Things. It came out beforehand.
Yeah. And then the main plot starts, and it kind of just, I don't know, it doesn't do anything interesting or different. It just kind of plugs along until the end, and you're like, all right.
There is like the one kind of main plot point that informs the rest of the films, and what's that? That Charlie.
Yeah, would it be? I was going to say Charlie. Charlie is like a family friend, and he's like this kind of like losery dude, I guess.
Bit of a like creepy hick.
Yeah, and he believes in aliens before the critters turn up, and then when they turn up, he's kind of their go-to man. And at the end of the first Critters film, he follows the bounty hunters back into space, which brings us to Critters 2, the main course. Which, if I may, Richard, I'd like to regale our listeners with the plot summary for that film.
I would love you to.
Okay, so that film, the critters are back, and Scott Grimes is back too, and he's going to visit his grandmother, and basically it's the same as the first film, but instead of like it being confined to like one house, it's this entire little town, and they have to stop the critters and work together and that sort of thing. And Charlie and the bounty hunter turn up again.
And instead of being confined to looking like Johnny Danger, what does he look like in this one?
Well, that
was the other? No, different one. But yeah, anyway, they're not confined to looking like Terrence Mann.
So the other bounty hunter, the other plasticine man bounty hunter, he transforms at the start into a Playboy model, because he sees a Playboy model in a magazine, and which is such an 80s movie idea that I'm surprised they didn't do it in the first one.
Yeah, I know. Like, it's funny that like the second one has like this nudity in it.
Yeah,
and then it's nowhere else in the series.
Yeah. When they were transforming in the first film, I was like, right, so he's going to be like a sexy girl, like Weird Science kind of thing. And then they didn't do that, but they did do it in the second one. And yeah, I don't know, they saved the day in that one again.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's anything else to talk about.
No, not really. And then we get to the third one, which I feel like is the series' claim to fame nowadays, because it stars a very young Leonardo DiCaprio.
DiCaprio.
And this was his first film role. He was 17 at the time.
Really?
Yeah.
He looks like 14, dude.
Yeah, he was 17. Fun fact, because you messaged me the other day and said Scott Grimes can say, "Oh, I wasn't available, so they got Leonardo DiCaprio." But do you know, it was actually, the role was originally offered to Carrie Elways.
Young Carrie Elways.
Well, because you think about, you say young Carrie Elways, but think about when The Princess Bride came out. That was like mid-80s. Critters 3 came out in 1991. Carrie Elways was 28.
And he's got a love interest in it who's clearly
and they're like
16.
Oh, we can't get this 28-year-old Carrie Elways. Let's just get this some punk 17-year-old kid. And also, fun fact as well, that the first film stars Billy Zane. And so it's the first, like, they're in the same franchise, and then they later appear in Titanic together.
True. Yeah, totally. And Billy Zane, I guess, is a lot older than... It's like, yeah, it's weird seeing Leo DiCaprio young in the early 90s, because you see other actors who are, like, old in the late 80s, early 90s, and it's like, I guess I knew if you'd asked me, is Billy Zane older than Leonardo DiCaprio, I would have been like, yes. But it's not until this movie that I actually compared those two different people together.
Yeah, because like Leonardo DiCaprio, yeah, he's kind of let himself go in the last few years when he hasn't been like acting so much. But like, yeah, he's like not even 50, I think.
Oh, he's real young.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look it up right now.
I think he's like 28. He's only just now reached Carrie Elway's age in 1991. Yeah, he's like mid
43.
40s.
Yeah, he's 43.
Fuck, he's a 43. Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have said like 48. I mean, not that that's that much difference, but yeah, he's done such a good job of shedding his schoolboy image, or like a 17-year-old Critters 3 image, until you hear him yell, and then you hear it. But yeah, no, that's interesting.
So Critters 3 kind of returns to the same setup as the first film, where now the critters are back and they're confined to like a apartment building, and it's more or less the same. I think it's the weakest of the four, if only just because it is more of the same. You've watched 2 Gremlins clones already. Get ready for a third. Like that's what it feels like.
All right, and then so where does the fourth one pick up?
Critters 4 is so different to Critters 1, 2, and 3, and I actually really liked it, and I'm going to spoiler alert, Critters 4 is probably my favourite Critters film, I think.
Wow.
Because, yeah, it's derivative. Basically, it's your classic... There's a spaceship crew. It's set in the future. It's Critters in space. It's Jason X.
Ethnically diverse.
Yeah, ethnically diverse spaceship crew that all fly around, and they... so at the end of Critters 3, Charlie gets caught discovers the last 2 Critters eggs, and they get zapped up into like a pod that floats through space for 50-something years, and Critters 4 is about another ship finding that pod and dealing with the critters infestation on their ship, or like the space station they arrive at. And like, yeah, it is derivative, and it does feel like a worse version of like a bunch of other similar movies, but after 3 Gremlins clones, it's nice to get like an Alien clone, you know? Like, it's like, oh cool, we're doing something kind of different now. And I mean, it's better than the Cloverfield paradox, which did similar things.
Oh, yeah. So would this be your favourite ethnically diverse space station film you've watched this year?
This year?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be.
Wow.
Not of all time, though. God, no.
What's your favourite ethnically diverse space station?
Maybe Sunshine or Alien. Probably go with one of those.
Oh, yeah. Those are both good options.
Thank you.
I just discovered I have fish oil pills in my desk. I don't know why.
What does fish oil do?
All right, yeah, this will be good content. So fish oil, 1,000 milligrams, supports heart, brain, and joint health. 35 capsules, dietary supplement. I could empty it out and tell you how many I've had, and then completely forgotten that I even owned the bottle. If it was even me. Wait, it expires like 2 months ago. How long did these last? When did I get this?
Man, Critters mustn't be a very good movie if we're 15 minutes in and talking about fish oil tablets already. I'm very aware of that.
One thing I do want to say about the end of Critters 3 is it had a really weird credit sequence.
Yes, so it did.
It's like Charlie's down in the basement, like, with his gun out, and then it was like freeze frame, and then it's like starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Don Keith Hopper, all these other people, and then it like does and like freezes again, and then it's like starring Terrence Mann, and you're like, he doesn't, because Terrence Mann is Ugg, who's the Johnny Danger character. He hasn't been in the film yet. And he gets like one of the starring credits, and then like 2 minutes later, he appears.
Yeah.
So they like run the credits for like 30 seconds, and then run the film for another minute, and then run the credits for 30 seconds.
I wonder what inspired doing it that way, because it's very strange. It's not like it needs it.
Yeah.
Like, initially I thought that first freeze frame was just going to be the ending, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, that is something I thought of as well. But yeah, I don't know. Do you think it added to the film, or did it just...
No, not really. It was more distract. Like, if a lot of films did it, I might have said it, but because it's just so distracting to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what do you think critics thought of this film, going off Rotten Tomatoes?
I imagine it'd be pretty low. Even the first one would...
Give me a number for the first one.
40s.
40s? Ooh.
Yeah.
It's actually 54 with a 44 audience score. So
yeah.
I'm surprised it's one that the critics rank higher.
Yeah.
Critters 2, the main course, what would you say that has?
It'd be lower just because of the nature of the beast. I think it's a better film. Like, it's a more well thought out film. But I don't know, 30s, low 30s.
Yep, 33 and 36 audience score. Now, what about Critters 3?
We're in the tens now, surely.
Oh, do you think we're in the tens?
I think so. What is it?
Or would you not think maybe lower than that?
Oh, is it? Are we going sub 10?
Oh, give me a number.
9.
Lower.
7.
Lower.
5.
Lower.
1.
Lower.
0.
Yep.
Critters 3 it's a 0% club.
Yep.
Film. Wow.
Critters 3 is on 0% with a 23% audience score. And Critters 4 does not have a critic score, but has an audience score of 18. It does have 2 reviews, both of which are bad. So it would be 0% as well.
It's interesting because, like, I don't know, maybe it's a sign of what movies, how we, like, enjoy movies these days. But, like, I don't really have anything bad to say about Critters. Like, when you find out you're doing a movie with, like, from the 80s with, or even like even worse, like a creature feature from the 80s with 3 sequels, a creature feature. It's quite daunting because they typically get pretty bad, like that kind of subgenre. But I don't know, like, at first I was real cynical about it. I was like, I've got to watch Critters 3 now. But then I was like, you know what? There's a lot of love put into, like, the continuity and the lore and the mythology of the Critters. And, like, the fourth one's refreshing and different. And it's like, they're fine. I'm not going to say don't watch them.
Yeah, I appreciate, after watching so many film franchises for this podcast, I can appreciate that it's one continuous story as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I actually really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So you also, speaking of critics, most famous critic of all time, Roger Ebert, included Critters 2 on his most hated films of all time list. He said that Critters 2, the main course, is a movie about furry little hand puppets with lots of teeth who are held up to salad bars by invisible puppeteers while large numbers of actors scream and pronounce unlikely dialogue.
He has a point. What I think the reason why when people think of 80s movies starring little puppet creatures, they think of Gremlins and not Critters, is because the Gremlins look so much better than Critters. Like Critters are very lazy puppetry because, like, first of all, they don't, like, I guess if you're able to Google what the Critters look like, because this is going to be hard to explain otherwise, but, like, the They move around by turning into a little ball and rolling, which is, like, so obviously, like, they couldn't animate them running or walking, so they were like, all right, this is an easy way to do it. We'll just roll them into balls and kick them places and things like that. So I think the Critters themselves, for the, like, namesake of the movie, I actually think they're probably the weakest part. Like I think I liked Critters 4 so much because it had fewer critters in it. Like, it was way more
two.
And it was way more focused on the characters and the setting. I think it's interesting that that Roger Ebert would say that, because while I like Critters, I feel like has Roger Ebert seen Critters 3? Because I feel like what he's saying.
I would ask him, but he's dead.
Yeah, I feel like that applies. Critters 3 more applies to what he's saying than Critters 2.
You've mentioned a few times that it's a kind of a clone of Gremlins. It actually was written before Gremlins. And so Gremlins came out and they had to like hastily do rewrites to minimize some of the similarities.
I wonder what some of the similarities were. It's been a while since I've seen Gremlins.
I've actually never seen Gremlins.
It's real good. It's real.
Should we do Gremlins next fortnight?
Let's do it. Let's actually do it. If you ever have kids, I think Gremlins is a great first horror movie to show them. You know what I mean? Like when they're like 7 or 8, tell them they're going to watch a horror movie and then put on Gremlins, and it's like quite
tame.
low key, tame.
Yeah, it was like, because isn't the first one's like a little bit of a horror and the second one's just like a ridiculous comedy or something?
Yeah, definitely.
We can discuss it more next episode. So AJ, can you, for me and for the people at home, can you do an impression of the Kreitz?
Like that? Like, I actually can't remember. That's what I'd assume they'd sound like by the memory of how they look like.
Corey Burton, voice actor, and if he's one of those guys, if you look up his like acting credits, you'll recognize like a dozen projects. He voiced the Kreitz, and he said that he based the language on a combination of French and Japanese.
Yeah, they do speak a language, don't they? And they have subtitles for some of their lines.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that was a good idea, because their subtitles are very colloquial, and they're very like how humans talk. And I was like, why would they be talking like this?
Well, now knowing that it's a combination of French and Japanese, can I get you to give me another attempt?
Oui, konnichiwa.
That was brilliant.
That actually sounds like I didn't do that on purpose. That's actually what they sound like.
That was really beautiful.
Thanks, man.
That rivals your Godzilla impression.
The sexy one from Nymphomaniac.
The Korean. What was your sexy Godzilla?
It was like Scream.
Classic.
Just reliving the past here on the Cold Pops podcast.
So I guess, have you got anything else you'd like to add about the like bulk of these films?
Did you? What did you like? I've said sort of what I thought was good. What did you think? Do you think they were good?
I don't know. These are these like hard movies to like.
Yeah.
Even after you finish watching it, they're like, it's hard to like. If I sat down and watched it and then someone immediately like turned to me and was like, "What is this movie about?" I'd be like, "Oh, I don't know. Who cares?"
Yeah, like I feel like we might be shortchanging the listeners here a bit, because we have had,
especially if we've got big Critters fans out there.
Yeah, we have had some franchises before that are quite hard to actually do a podcast on. I think most recently would probably be Romancing the Stone was quite hard to talk about for a long time. We did, but it was quite hard to. And I think, but I would say the difference between Critters is that they're fine. They're like. They're like,
I can understand why people would love them as well.
Yeah. I feel like it feels like they're the most popular 80s movie in some alternate universe where we didn't get every other iconic 80s movie.
Yeah, just like Shanghai Noon and Shanghai Nights being the most popular 2000s movies.
Yeah, totally. Like there's some in the vast multiverse. There's somewhere where Stranger Things is heavily like borrowing from Critters, and people have Critters toys and like always ask if they're going to make a Critters 5 and things like that. So.
Yeah, like it is definitely like it's almost like a midnight movie. Like I'd expect to see a 35mm screening of this at like a dingy theater kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are theaters that play Critters, and it's like I can imagine it being like a cult film, and it would have a really strong following, but it's to consume it now. It's just not the same, I guess.
It's just the Pepsi Gremlins, man, and like in a
The Pepsi Gremlins. Fuck, that's a cool. That's like a cool band name. We should call this episode the Pepsi Gremlins.
I'll put it in like the description.
Yeah, that has to be like somewhere.
I think that like there's people don't even really talk about Gremlins these days. You know, so like why would they talk about Critters? It's such a bygone type of movie.
Yeah, and just let bygones be bygones.
Yeah. Do it. Let them be them.
Yeah, but I mean, is there talk of a Critters 5? Well, let's find out when we continue the franchise.
Oh my goodness.
So this is there's an interesting phenomenon we've discussed about when we get like a franchise that some news will come up, and I'll get to that in a second, but there's a funny case of that or something like that. But web series continuation was announced in 2014, but there's like been no other discussion about it really since then.
A web series continuation.
Yeah. There was a fan film called Critters Bounty Hunter, which you sent me the IMDb screenshot with like a bunch of question marks and exclamation marks. And I was like, don't worry, you don't need to watch it. I didn't watch it, to be fair. But yeah, so there's this guy made a fan film. It's like 6 minutes long. It's called Critters Bounty Hunter. And he made that as like an audition. Because he's like, if I make this fan film, they'll have to ask me to make the web series. And I don't know if he ever heard from them or what, but yeah, nothing came of it.
Well, okay, so that's really interesting. So that what that tells me is that there is at least one person who has like really fond memories and has Critters as a very special. Yeah. Like it always feels like no one would have this as like their favorite movie, but I guess they would. Yeah, that's really interesting. Cool. I'm glad for Critters because it maybe deserves it, maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
And so a TV series reboot was announced in January 2018 to be called Critters, A New Binge. And the most recent article to confirm that was still happening was 7 hours ago.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so good. So there is actually a Critters show happening.
Yeah, well, I mean, these things get announced and never end up happening, but yeah, the last
knew people cared about
article.
Critters?
Yeah, isn't that insane though? 7 hours ago, as of the time of recording this podcast.
It's starting to come out. It'll come out like it'll end up being. It comes out before like there'll be news about like I don't know what's a movie series. There'll be news about
Romancing the Stone.
No, wait, one we haven't done. What's one we haven't done? There'll be news about
Rocky.
And
they're making Creed 2, so...
Yeah, but like news tomorrow about Rocky, and then the next franchise we get after that will be Rocky, so it'll start superseding us talking about it.
Yeah. And then like we'll get Fast and the Furious when there's been like 9 films worth of news about it already. Yeah. I mean, eventually you just reach a point where the film's release itself is like...
coincides with the podcast.
Yeah. So, and also David F. Sandberg, the director of Lights Out, Annabelle, and he's currently directing Shazam for DC, is keen to tackle the franchise as well. And he's also said he's keen to, because someone was like, if you were to do like a franchise film, what ones? And he said, I'd love to do a Critters film and a Nightmare on Elm Street film.
Interesting. I just don't get it. I don't get why you'd say Critters and not Gremlins, not to keep comparing them. But if I was like a hotshot director and I more or less was able to like tackle a franchise film and I was into creatures, I don't know. It's, why
I don't know, Pepsi? Like Critters, I feel like you can't ruin. Whereas like Gremlins, there's only 2 and you're doing a like long sought after third entry.
Yeah.
Whereas like Critters, you can just like fucking have them show up in a new place. Dude.
Yeah, like Critters is the ultimate movie that needs a distant sequel because who gives a shit if it's bad?
Yeah.
Like the world's already so ridiculous, so you're not going to out ridiculous it. Like there's already space travel and aliens, and like if you threw like something like time travel in there, I'd be like, okay, sure. It's already so insane. It feels like the overall the Critters franchise feels like a real underground PlayStation 2 game series or something like that. Like
Yeah.
the like I want to like something akin to like Beyond Good and Evil, where it's like got a cult following and people are really enriched in the story, but it's not really a mainstream game or something like that. Like that's what it feels like. As I said, it feels like there was a Mandela effect. And now Critters isn't a beloved movie, or it is a beloved movie, whichever universe we're in.
Yeah. Okay, so do you have a continuation of Te franchise?
I kind of do. I would like to propose a remake, but not in the traditional remake styles. I mean, the sort of borrowing from the Friday the 13th 2009 remake that we covered, where you combine the first two films into one film, because I actually think that's what's missing from both of them. I think together they create a better film. If it starts in the farmhouse and then by the end of the film it's taken over this entire town, I feel like that's a better escalation for the first film, and I feel like the characters and motivations are there's more character arcs in the second film than in the first film. Like the first film there's not really anything going on, but in the second one there's things like Scott Grimes' character, Brad, like he's kind of got a reputation to uphold because no one believes him about the critters, and Charlie, the bounty hunter, feels like he has to prove himself to the other bounty hunters because he doesn't think he's a real bounty hunter, and then at the end of the film he like saves the day and calls out, "I'm a bounty hunter!" So, and the first film didn't really have that, and so I think if you combine both of those ideas into one, you would have a much more effective and emotionally resonant story. And that's my continue the franchise.
Ooh, that was a good one. Cool.
Thank you, man.
Any ideas for cast or anything?
No, I hadn't thought of anything. I feel like the cool thing to do would be cast someone from Stranger Things, like cast the guy who plays what's his name?
Finn Wolfhard?
The boyfriend in Stranger Things. People are going to be yelling his name. Boyfriend in Stranger Things. Steve. Cast the guy who plays Steve. He might be a bit too old, but
yeah. No, he's got the right look, I guess.
Yeah.
And they cast him and Ben Schwartz to play brothers in the film.
Yeah. You could probably cast Scott Grimes as Charlie. Like from the same age now.
Anywho, my continuation of the franchise, I guess I kind of would like to see... Hold on 1 second. Yeah, I would like to see, and I've spoken about this at length, both on the podcast and in my private life, but I would like to see Leonardo DiCaprio return to the Critters franchise in some capacity. If, like, do a reboot, do your web series, whatever, as long as Leonardo DiCaprio somehow acknowledges that he was a part of this franchise. Like... That would make me respect him so much more. The fact that I've never seen him really be able to laugh at himself. Yeah. And I feel like if he's the kind of person that if in an interview you're like, "Oh, I loved you, and can we talk about Critters 3?" He would just get up and walk out. Like he's not willing to be like, "Oh, yeah," he wouldn't sign your Critters 3 DVD.
At Leonardo DiCaprio, acknowledge Critters 3. Acknowledge Critters. Everyone tweet Leonardo DiCaprio.
I don't think he has social media.
Doesn't he?
Yeah. If you really want to get his attention, use aerosol, fossil fuels. Just get your carbon footprint as big as you can, and then Leo has to.
What about this for continue the franchise? If you could make it canon that Critters 3 is set in the same continuity as another Leonardo DiCaprio movie, which Leonardo DiCaprio movie would that be?
Titanic.
So the character from there's a bit of time displacement there, but the character from Critters,
well, he freezes at the end of it, and then he unfreezes, having de-aged a little bit, but he's like, he's like, that's the worst thing that's going to happen to me this week, and then he has the Critters thing happen.
I'd say The Revenant. I think I'd like to see after all that. Although The Revenant's set before Critters 3. All right, dumb question.
Or Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Although is Wolf of Wall Street set earlier?
I feel like it is, like 70s. No, it won't be the 70s. It's too modern. At Cult Popture, when is Wolf of Wall Street set? We're just sending out people to tweet things now. It does nothing. None of this matters.
I'm trying to think of other Leonardo DiCaprio films.
Inception.
Django Unchained.
Oh, it is. It's totally it. That's why he's racist, just because
of the critters.
Because of the critters.
Oh,
they
no,
injected racism into him.
Wolf of Wall Street starts in the 80s.
No, okay.
Fuck, yeah, what
Damn
else has
it.
Leo done?
Damn it! J. Edgar. The J stands for Josh, which is Leonardo DiCaprio's name. And
Hey, very nice.
Critters 3.
Josh Edgar, he grows up and becomes president.
Yeah. Wait, was that what J. Edgar Hoover was? No, what am I thinking of? What's the one where he plays the head of the FBI?
Oh, sorry, he's the head of the FBI, not the president.
Okay. I was like, J. Edgar was president? What's going on?
Yeah, no, that was my
I just never assume you're
American
wrong,
history
dude.
Wrong. Yeah, I just got mixed up for a second. Please don't at me.
Don't at me. J. Edgar Hoover sounds like a US president. Don't at me.
All right, now we.
Why would
reach.
someone at you about that? Who cares?
All right, so I mean, this might be our shortest episode in a very long time. But,
I'm sorry.
we're both like, I don't know, mainly you, but we're both like busy at the moment.
I am the busiest I have been in 2 years currently with our new.
What happened 2 years ago?
I can't remember. It's too busy.
Too busy to form memories.
I am working on a new web series which you can check out on the Cult Popture Facebook and YouTube channel called Talking During the Movie.
Oh, is there another one coming out?
Yeah, they would have come out yesterday if all goes according to plan.
What film was it on?
Isle of Dogs, but I'm going to film it tonight. So
does
check that out.
Does that come out this week?
Yep. And I'm also running a short film competition here in Christchurch that Richard is competing in. So in maybe like 5 or 6 episodes time, if Richard and I we're off in our chemistry, it's because I didn't admit him to the finals.
Yeah,
and he's mad at me.
I don't know. I don't think there'll be any chemistry because I just won't be on the podcast.
Right. Yeah. So that's happening, and I'm very busy, and I've got other work on because what do I do for a living, Richard? I'm a freelance video editor.
You're a piece of shit.
That's me, piece of shit. Alexander Jones, pieceofshit.com.
You need to register that now.
Yeah, and it just redirects to Cult Popture.
All right, so next fortnight to continue the theme of to go along again with what we've discussed this week, we will be bringing you the Zoolander duology, which both star Billy Zane.
Are we?
No, I don't know. I'm just looking at the list.
I was like, you didn't call out a number or anything. Okay, well, because I'm a real big stickler for the integrity of franchise roulette. Like, I want it to be genuinely we don't choose, but genuinely I can't fit more than 3 or 4 movies in the next 2 weeks.
We have got. I think we've come clean about this before, but we do have a guests franchise list. I've got that up in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's film series would be comfortable asking a guest to consume with us. And yeah, I'm going to be busy over the next couple of weeks as well. So we're still doing a franchise that's just not as big of a risk that we might get Barbie or James Bond.
Yeah, that's the thing is people, if you're wanting it to be like, if you're hoping this is the one where we get Barbie, it's not. By the way, there are 36 Barbie films, which is why we're using that as
there's been like 5 more since we started the podcast. It's insane. All right, so AJ, do you want to give me a random number if you can?
Oh, do you not have the app?
Oh, I do, but I can do both.
Well, if I give you a random number, it could be preconceived.
Oh, that's true.
I could be looking at the list right now at like I'd say like 72, and it's like a 10 film franchise. I was like, yeah, no, I was looking at it. I don't know why I said 72.
Well,
right, let's see how this goes.
Yeah, do you want to? Is there anything you want to I mean, oh, fuck, you've already just plugged all the shit we've got coming
Why
up.
are you asking me to plug on my podcast? Yeah, I run a podcast called Cult
No, I
Popture.
mean, I mean, Cult Popture stuff, like the talking during the movie, but do you want to discuss it? Because there hasn't been, like, officially announced, it kind of just popped up, but do you want to talk about
sure. So
the inception of it?
Yeah, so it's basically it's a movie review series that we're hopefully going to be doing weekly, and it's all completely scripted. And the joke is that it's me and some friends of mine talking in a movie theater while the movie's playing, and people telling us to shut up. And so we give like a real concise and thought out review by whispering our thoughts to each other as we're watching the actual movie unfold. So if that sounds good, then go check that out. It's called Talking During the Movie.
That
There's
sounds
2 episodes
cool.
out.
Avengers,
Infinity War, and Isle of Dogs.
So we just real fucked up our flow there. It's
No, it's funny. Avengers, Infinity War, and Isle of Dogs.
wow, that sounds real cool. But I haven't seen Avengers: Infinity War yet.
Ah, don't worry, dude. There's no spoilers.
What? All right, I've almost got this ready.
It's taking you a while to get
it
like
is.
a
I just
something
answered
as simple as a random number.
Well. We are going to be doing the 91th.
That really
do you know what?
me.
91 is Dumb and Dumber. So let me get
We're
rid
doing
of
it
that.
again. Call up Amanda. We're bringing back Dumb and Dumber.
All right. Should I take what is now the 91st one, or should I?
Oh, what's the
roll
91st one?
Am I taking what's now the 91st one, or
Tell me the 91st one.
Well, I want you to commit before. Or do you want me to roll again, and then I can tell you what the 91st one was?
All right, roll again. Roll again.
All right.
7.
What was 91?
The Santa Claus.
Oh yeah. That wild
Okay,
of it.
7 is The Mask.
No. God. The Mask and Son of the Mask, right?
Yeah, there's only 2, so it's fine.
Hey, I did a massive tweet rant a couple months ago about
Oh, don't spoil it. You
masks.
can use it for content.
That's amazing that we got it. I'm so happy we've got that, actually. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's do the masks. Mask and Son of the Mask. Tune in to that next time. Continue the franchise.
And we'll be here as always. Shotgun using your Continue the Franchise.
No, fuck off.